All right. Hello and welcome to my model, my very complicated, very in-depth model to try and go into energy use in Chicago and ways to reduce the energy use by the citizens and companies of the city. As you can see here, there are three distinct tabs. We have our residential tab, commercial tab, and industrial tab. And so the goal of this is to use data about the average energy use of each of these sectors, as well as the price of each of these sectors, to try and incentivize a reduction of energy use. So in each section, we have 6 different things. We have our percentile, our goal range, or goal percentile range, our rate change, price, old price, our new rate, and our new price. As well as our entering our usage and new price, but we'll get into that later. Up here, we have the previous average price as well as the previous average use. Down here is the average of the percentiles, and that's meant to show where our average goal is compared to our average use now. So let's say that I changed this percentile to 250. If you look down here, that would go to 651, but let's change that back to what it was. As you can also see, if I change this, so if I let's say 250 again, look at how our old price changes. Boom. And our new price changes as well. So the whole goal of this is that pretty much every tab within the spreadsheet impacts another. So if I make a change here, it changes this and this. If I make a change here, it affects the price as well. So let's say that I'm a resident of Chicago and I use 800 kilowatt hours per year. How would I know my cost? Well, a company, an electric company, would have this cost calculator more formally created. It's kind of sloppy right now, but the goal is to get the numbers. You would have a person enter their usage right here. They'd find a percentile. So the range, since it has a goal, the range is supposed to be anything between 770 and 830 goes in this line, the 21 through 30. So if we go over here, we enter 800 kilowatt hours, and their price is $84.13 a month. So it's pretty cool. And a company can do this as well. You can see that their range is different, but they also have a reduction. Comparatively, they have their new prices and old prices, new prices, and their rate. So let's say my company, who's very efficient, who doesn't use a lot of electricity, I use about 3,200 kilowatt hours per month. So I would enter 3,200 kilowatt hours, boom, $128.80 a month. Or let's say I am, Let's say I am an industrious business. I am a massive energy sucking business, and I'm in this last percentile. I am the worst of the worst. This is where it gets kind of weird. I made a slight mistake in how I split up the percentiles, but let's say that I use 1.4 million kilowatt hours per month. 1400000. Enter. So I would pay $19,952.53 per month. You also have the average here and the former average there. The whole goal of this cost calculator is to allow for 2 things. First of all, it's to use the economic principle of people responding to incentives to show them how their rate would be different if they were able to cut some of their electricity use, as well as just using technology to make it very easy for people to understand how much they are paying now and how much they could save if they change their habits. For a visual comparison, we can look down here. So this is a graph meant to graph the industrial cost using these two different prices. The red here, we have the cost with no hike, and here in the blue we have the cost with the change. So you can see at the very highest level of spending, so this is the 1 to 10 percentile all the way down to 91 to 100. At first, red is in front, so the control with no hike is in front. It costs less, it's lower down, and that's meant to visually show how the people would be saving money, or how companies are losing money by being in this terrible bracket here. But as you continue to move, you see that red is now on top, meaning that you'd be spending more money in the control rather than with the price, because now you have a better rate. Granted, these differences don't seem too drastic. It's about $18 difference here, which to a company might not seem like a lot. But the fantastic thing about this spreadsheet is if you change your goal to something crazy like 80,000 and you had a more drastic hike here, so let's say you change this to 2% difference, then your price would really change. The whole goal of this is to not have the final number set out, but to show a way that it could be done. There are also equations associated with each of these. So for the percentage increase, I use the function y equals 0.5 times 1.5 to the x, with x sub 1 being at this percentile here. At this percentile here. And the goal of this was to have an exponential function try and model a good steady growth that didn't get too outrageous, but also start at a good point. And we used a slightly different function for the decrease, 0.25 times 1.35 to the x. And although these numbers are slightly arbitrary, they're just meant to have a good starting point with growth that is not too drastic, so it's pretty steady. As you can see, the reduction here is not huge, but depending on your city, depending on what you can afford, you can change that. The whole goal of this is to have a starting point that allows for a lot of malleability. So let's say I really wanted to make a drastic cut. So instead of being 1/100th of a cent difference, I want to cut it 1 whole cent. So 1 whole cent, 0.09. And now you have this massive difference in price percentage-wise. You went from having it be 31 cents, and it is now $5. $5 of difference. So the whole goal of this is to show a consumer how much money they're wasting and how much electricity they're wasting by being in these awful brackets here and not up here. In the end, this is a very economics-heavy model. It's meant to play on the principle of incentives, and is not meant to be super environmental science focused. It's meant to be a money problem. How do people deal with losing more money than they should? This can be adopted to a number of cities. It's not alone in Chicago. All you need to start is a function you want to use to model the increase and decrease, your average residential, commercial, and industrial cost now, and your average use for each of those three sectors as well. Once you have that, you can fashion this any way you like. If there are any further questions, by all means, contact me. Thank you for listening.